everyone, Britton here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to create the look of chrome metal and rusted metal in your colorings. It's a lot easier than it sounds and it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. So I'm going to choose my airbrush tool. You know I love my airbrush tool. And I'm going to work in freehand mode, which is something I haven't showed you guys before. And the reason I like to do this for certain situations is that it makes it a little easier to shade the edges of an area. So I break the rules and color outside the lines. And after I've got my shading in here, you can notice it leaves a little gray gradient there and a streak of lighter in the middle, which is going to be what we're going to follow. So I'm going to lighten all the way up to white. And I'm going to kind of follow that streak of paler gray around. And I don't want to go right over the top of it, but I want to go alongside it. And this is how chrome would look if light were shining on it. It would have several shades of streaks, darker and lighter, some almost white. Now, when you go to delete or erase your extra stuff that you don't need, make sure that before you do that, you switch back into automatic mode, or else you'll end up erasing all your hard work, and that would be awful. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my heart here, getting ready for my rust. A fill is not necessary, but it's a really helpful tool to kind of keep your goal palette in mind and to ensure there aren't any white spaces left when you're finished coloring. So I'm going to start dropping in some darker colors with my watercolor tool. I find the watercolor tool really to be the best for creating the look of rust. And I'm just varying my opacities, varying my colors, varying my brush size, very freehand, very kind of whatever feels and looks right to you. One thing to keep in mind is rust is often lighter toward the outside, almost a yellow, and darker toward the inside or the place where the rust originally started. The next thing I'm going to do is really cool for adding realism. I'm going to use the paintbrush tool to create this effect. So iron oxides, when they are consistently exposed to moisture while they're forming, they'll sometimes be carried by gravity and deposit in these visible streaks on the surface of a metal object. So around like bolts, gaskets, anything like that, you'll see these drips or streaks. So when you add that to your rust, it creates a lot of realism and visual interest, and it's much more believable. Okay, and I'm using my freehand method to kind of shade the edges of my heart here. I'm just using black airbrush. Nothing too fancy, just to give it a little more pop. And then I'll clean it up. And I'll fill in any empty spaces, touch it up here and there. Maybe add a little bit of turquoise blue to my rust. It's a common color you'll see in rust. And sometimes I'll throw in a little bit of the splatter tool as well, just for fun. Okay, and I am using my transparent glass coloring technique, which I explained in my last video. And there we go. My steampunk heart is all finished. And that's one way to create chrome and rust in your Pigment works of art. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have ideas for future tutorials, please comment below. This is Britton for Pigment, and as always, thank you for watching.